State regime media, which calls itself Fox News, made a stunning admission on air. They admit that they are collapsing. They admit that the Republican Party is collapsing. They admit that the Republican Party will experience a wipeout of massive proportions at the midterms. Listen to Laura Ingraham say it herself. Here, play this clip.
Okay. Katie, one thing that we should also see, Mark is right, the midterms right now look ugly unless the Republicans really get serious.
And then if you want to show shot chaser, well, then they bring on Kevin Hassett with Miss Alternative Facts herself, Kellyanne Conway. And Hassett says, you know, for all of these people criticizing Walmart for making this year's Thanksgiving list only 14 items in generic brands versus 21 items when it was under former President Biden, you're so out of touch. People love generic brands. Let them eat generic brands. You keep on digging, Hassett. Here, play this clip.
Favorite moments on a Sunday show for me last week was on one of the Sunday shows. You can look it up. I won't attack the poor fellow that was the anchor. He criticized the fact that Walmart said that the Thanksgiving dinner is cheaper by, I think it was about $10 for a typical Thanksgiving dinner. And then he said, oh, yeah, but they substituted generic stuff, as if like having a generic something is a crime for ordinary folks. It shows how out of touch these people are. I get generics
it's so
all the
silly.
time. I just say it.
So
seriously, that's how out of touch they are. 14 items is less than 21 items. And previously, there were the brand names, not generic names. Generic names are fine. That's not what the point is. The point is that things are more expensive and you're cherry picking weird ways to pretend things are cheaper when the American people are suffering. Then you have Jesse Waters, MAGA Republican propagandist, and he's like, and the thing is, the Senate treated Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, like crap. Now he's getting his revenge on people like Senator Kelly. Oh, you think you're a decorated veteran, Senator Kelly, because you're an astronaut and you were a decorated fighter pilot? Well, Hegseth is getting his revenge. Here, play this clip.
Now, the Senate also treated Pete like crap. He's not going to take this from another senator. There's a chain of command. Pete now controls Kelly. Kelly's going to come in and he's going to get a little bit of a spanking. And Pete already looked at the war medals this guy had in his chest and they're all cockeyed. They're in the wrong direction. The guy doesn't even know how to dress up.
So odd right there. Then they bring on MAGA Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen and Kellyanne Conway. And they're like, all these foreign leaders, they just complain about this or that and the other. Why isn't Europe doing anything? By the way, Europe is spending far more money on Ukraine than the United States, which isn't spending anything at this point. Here, play this clip.
President Trump has Putin in Alaska. 3 days later, most of the Western European leaders, the NATO allies, hightail it to the Oval. They're so excited. They want to help. But all they do a lot is complain about the lack of American leadership, or where is the American money, or where is Europe in all of this? I feel like it's President Trump by himself most of the time. What is your expectation, United States Senator, that our NATO allies pitch in for a country that is in Europe?
Well, President Trump has rightly restored America as the top negotiator in the world. And so there isn't another leader in Europe that could bring these individuals to the table. There's not another leader that could even begin to have peace talks. It didn't happen underneath Biden, and no world leader was able to get there. So they know that President Trump is the only one. Every world leader knows that President Trump is the only one that can negotiate a peace deal if both parties are truly wanting to talk about that. And so while they might complain about it, at the same time, they're leaning towards President Trump because he is the world leader at this point, and no one can even argue that point at this juncture.
Then they bring on MAGA Republican Congresswoman Salazar, and she goes, what we need to do with Venezuela, we need to get their oil for the oil companies. Time to invade for the oil companies. Do you realize what you're saying? Time to invade for the oil companies? You think the American people want to go to war for oil companies? This is Trump's propagandists out there saying this. Can we focus on helping the American people? I know Donald Trump, when he was on Air Force One last night, said, nope, never extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Ain't gonna do it. Ha ha ha. Like, y'all think this is funny to make us suffer? you talking about? But this is what they're talking about. Get the oil companies rich by invading countries for them. Here, play this clip.
I mean, I would love to see a change in government. My wife's from Nicaragua. We know how terribly the dictators there rely on Venezuelan oil. But at the same time, a lot of Americans don't want actual U.S. participation in regime change in Venezuela. They would much prefer the Venezuelans to do it on their own. Do you think the pressure that Maduro has received will force him to leave on his own?
Oh, I think Maduro is not Fidel Castro. Maduro is not a brave boy. So now that he has understood that he's on that very nefarious list of the terrorist organization, that the airspace above Venezuela has been closed off and the commercial airlines from the United States are not flying, he's understanding that we're about to go in. He understands that he has been our enemy for the last 25 years. Venezuela, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in, basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs, and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or anything that has to do with oil and the derivatives.
And they bring on Matthew Whitaker, the NATO ambassador, and he makes an admission as well that Russia has made zero concessions. It's pretty obvious Russia's made zero concessions. Here, play this clip.
You need both sides to agree, and we don't really see much from Vladimir Putin. I just spoke with General Jack Keane, and he made the case that, look, Putin has yet to give up anything so far. Watch this.
Putin, he hasn't given up one concession in all of these months that we've been negotiating with. And why hasn't he made any concession? Because he sees the more the war gets protracted, sure, he'll come to any negotiation you want to have because that delays outcomes. The more the war is protracted and the more the killing goes on, he believes he can weaken the resolve of the United States and its leadership, the European and their leadership.
What about that, Ambassador?
Well, I mean, there is some truth to what, the general says, but let's remember that there's no perfect answer to this situation. Russia invaded Ukraine almost 4 years ago now.
By the way, did you notice he goes, there's some truth to that, some truth. Almost no truth on Fox. They then bring in this guy who starts to say, at least he says gas prices aren't really down year over year. Look, to be fair, gas prices are like 1 penny lower this year versus last year, okay? But everything else is more expensive. And 1 penny's that's not they're like spiking the football. You brought it down 1 penny while everything else is far more expensive. And the reason that also it's lower is during difficult economic times, people travel less, right? So there's less of a demand. Here, play this clip.
Yeah, always better to me to drive than to fly, Sandra. But, gas prices. Well, what about that one behind me? Yeah, that's the most expensive gas in the state of Pennsylvania. $4.09 the average gallon, right? You're about $1 more than the national average. And, people have conflicting views about gas prices. The administration says it's lower than it was. Others say it's higher. Well, the reality is, well, you see it right there. It's pretty much the same as it was last year, $3.05. That despite the change in energy production and energy prices, 13.7 million barrels a day pumped the last month we've got data. And that not only is a record in the U.S., but an all-time record in the history of Earth.
When it comes to dog food, it always felt like you had to make a choice. You could either have fresh and healthy or easy to store and serve, but never both. But you don't have to choose anymore thanks to Sundays. Sundays is fresh, air-dried dog food made from clean ingredients, and the recipe is actually customized based on your dog's size, breed, allergies, activity levels, all of it, everything. And unlike other fresh dog foods, Sundays does not require thawing, refrigeration, or preparation because of their air-drying process. You just pour and serve That's it. I'll tell you, my pup went crazy for this stuff. Within a week, we noticed more energy, way better mood, and even perfect poops, I gotta say. No more itching, no more eye boogers, none of it. It was wild how fast the change happened. And I love the story behind it. Sundays was started by Dr. Tori Waxman, a veterinarian who's devoted her life to animals. The standards are insanely high. If it's not 100% all-natural meat and superfoods with 0% synthetic nutrients or artificial ingredients, then it is not Sundays. Plus, every order ships right to your door and you can cancel or pause anytime. They even have a 14-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Thousands of dog parents have made the switch and reported pups with more energy, better poops, softer fur, and fresher breath thanks to Sundays. Make the switch to Sundays. Go right now to sundaysfordogs.com/Meidas and get 50% off your first order. Or you can use code Meidas at checkout. That's 50% off your first order at sundays.com/Meidas, sundaysfordogs.com/Meidas, or use code Meidas at checkout. That's MEIDAS.
Then you have Stephen Miller, who says that America is becoming like Somalia. And he goes, that's the problem with Minnesota. Somalification. The guys are just the most racist, vile people. Evil, mean, vile. Somalification. It's blatant racism. Here, play this clip.
See, what's it all add up to? Why are they engaged in all this? What is their objective here? It's the Somalification of America. In other words, when you see the state of Somalia, that's what they want for America at the end of the day, because it's easier to rule over an empire of ashes than it is for the Democratic Party to rule over a functioning, Western, high-trust society with a strong middle class. Look how powerful the Democrat Party became in Minnesota once they flooded it with 100,000 Somalians. Once the elections were decided, right, by clan rivalries and ethnic feuds. Once that happened, the Democrat Party became permanently powerful in Minnesota. They became permanently powerful in the Twin Cities. That's their model for America, to make the whole country into a version of Somalia. And everything they do gets down to that.
And then just to show you how ridiculous state regime media, which calls itself Fox, is, they then at first they have Stephen Miller on, then they bring on Katie Miller, his wife, and then she goes, I think the only racists are those people in the Democrat Party. The Democrat, first they can't say Democratic, the Democrat Party. Your husband just talked about Somalification, and you want to attack the Democrat Party as being racist? Again, it's all projection and confession from a bunch of losers. That's the thing, too. These people are just a group of grifter losers. Here, play this clip.
I think the only racists here are those in the Democratic Party and those who exist on MS Now, whatever that is, the new MSDNC. I've never seen our vice president be more appreciative of his wife or more grateful for her service. In fact, every time the vice president talks about Usha's service, he does it with such praise and such devotion in his heart that to hear these people criticize his relationship with his wife, which is private and sacred, is disgusting, gross, and it's those same gross attacks that the American people overwhelmingly reject, and they will continue to reject. President Trump and our party, the Republican Party, are fighting every day for Americans to make their lives better. We're not stuck in the mud, we're fighting above, and all they have left to do is these deranged identity-based attacks, because that's how they think they can win, because they don't have any platforms to run on.
More Katie Miller right here. And she goes, Trump has accomplished everything. Our dear leader has accomplished everything. Here, play this clip.
I've said this again, and I'll say it one more time, is President Trump has accomplished every single one of our policy platforms from the RNC convention. When has that ever happened? That's why Democrats are floundering.
Mark.
More from Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller's like, I praise God every day for Donald J. Trump. Every day I wake up and I praise God for this guy. Weird, strange people. Dangerous. Here, play this clip.
So when you ask me what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, I praise God every day that Donald Trump is our president. And we've gone from 30% inflation, 20 million illegals, unlimited refugees, violent crime in our cities, to security in our cities, no more illegals, no more refugees, and finally a country that puts American citizens first.
More from Jesse Waters here, who attacks Jasmine Crockett. Let's play it.
Like, for instance, let's take Jasmine Crockett. Like, she represents Dallas. Have you ever seen her at a Dallas football game? Ever seen her at a Cowboys game? Have you ever heard her say, God, I love Texas, the great state of Texas, the great people of Texas?
I think so.
What about Bernie? When's the last time you heard Bernie say anything about Vermont? One thing. Ever seen Bernie ski? Ever seen him with any maple syrup? Leaf peeping? Anything? Show me that you represent Vermont. No, he just talks about the billionaires. They all do it. They see voters as stepping stones. They don't love people. They actually hate them. And that's not good in politics.
Then you have other Fox hosts attacking the physical looks and appearance of Mark Kelly, the decorated war veteran, who said the military shouldn't follow unlawful orders, which is just a statement of the law. And now Pete Hegseth, a pathetic, weak human, wants to court-martial Mark Kelly, put him on active duty to then court-martial him. Like, y'all, that's what you're doing right now? Here, play this clip.
Kennedy. Well, I will say this, Greg. When one goes to space, as you know, their telomeres lengthen, which we would think is fortuitous. Unfortunately, when they come back to Earth, they drastically shrink. And I think that's what's happened to Senator Kelly. Also, he's almost made his full transformation into Sloth from the Goonies.
Wait, what? What shrinks?
Milky. The telomeres.
Oh,
yes.
What are those?
They're,
I like that you said "oh" first.
basically the things at the end of genes that determine the aging process.
Okay.
So the longer they are,
It's not the other thing.
the less. It's
things?
not the other thing.
And then Jesse Waters spews this, again, hateful rhetoric. He goes, we're going to hit back hard. You don't even know what you've unleashed in us. You've unleashed hell in us. Here, play this clip.
This Democrat Party charged Donald Trump like 94 times, 6 trials. They raided his house, they leaked his taxes, they spied on his campaign, and arrested everybody in his orbit, campaign managers, advisors, even his little valet. And they're upset that someone has to talk to an FBI agent? Really? Come on. You didn't think we were going to hit back? You think you were going to get away with all that and we were going to do anything about it? You got to be out of your mind. They're probably used to us not doing anything because we used to not. We used to just take it, and now we're not taking it anymore. So if you go over the line, we caught you, and now you have to pay a price. Doesn't matter. They have no idea what they just walked into. After what they did to us, then pardoned everybody and then put stuff in burn bags? No. We're going to hit back, and we're going to hit back kind of hard.
Such strange behavior. These are just such a strange group of humans on this network, huh? But that's why we got to stick together, especially as we see each other, families and Thanksgiving. We got to spread empathy and love and peace and democracy and equality and helping marginalized community. You see this group of people that I just displayed for you? I show it to you because I want to show you their hateful world, and I want to contrast it with, I hope, the love and inclusiveness that you're going to be sharing with people you know at Thanksgiving. I know times are tough too, but just let you know too that we here at the MeidasTouch Network hear you. We care about you. We understand what you're going through, and we're doing our best every day. That's all we can do, and that's what we'll keep on doing, okay? Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching. Hey Midas Mighty, it's Ben, Brett, and Jordy, and we just want to thank you for being the backbone of this movement.
This year tested us more than ever, but together we proved that pro-democracy voices don't just compete, we win.
We took on the entire MAGA machine, won a Webby for Podcast of the Year,
the MeidasTouch podcast,
and you were with us every step of the way.
And trust us, what we're working on next is bigger, bolder, and built for 2026.
Let's keep this momentum going, spread the word, we are just getting started.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty!